Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech, and today we're going to be talking about Enchantment Creature Aggro, a very spicy enchantment list, and I'm really excited to talk about this deck today. As always, at the end of the video, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the deck? Is there a specific enchantment I should have put in this deck that I did not? Or do you have suggestions for upcoming videos? Just let me know in the comment section. So, okay. The inspiration behind this deck, it's pretty simple. It's Umori. So I've been wanting to do an Umori list for quite some time now. And with the recent banning of Gigantha, I thought, okay, there's very few decks in Pioneer now, realistically, that you could even like try to do a deck with a companion. So I thought, you know, why not dust off Umori, a companion that I haven't seen really since the companion nerf for the most part in Pioneer. So I got to thinking, okay, what card type can we choose to where, you know, we still have a good solid deck, but we still have answers for everything, because obviously each non-land card in your starting deck shares a card type. So that means every card has to be a creature or an instant or an enchantment. And that's what we're doing today. We're playing all enchantments. Every single card in the deck is an enchantment, and that's including the creatures. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. We're playing 4 copies of All Side of Life's Bounty, 4 copies of Hopeful Eidolon, and 4 copies of Jukai Naturals as our main, you know, cheap creatures in the deck. So the idea, we're trying to get these guys in play, slap some really good enchantments on them, and try to win the game. It's kind of like Bogle's a little bit, or Green-White Hexproof. It's a little bit different. This is mostly just a Green-White aggro deck, and everything happens to be in enchantments. We're not trying to put like all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak, and it'll kind of make sense as we go along here. So the other creatures that we're playing in this deck, for Weaver of Harmony, a card that I've been wanting to show off for quite some time now on the channel. I've always thought this card was pretty underrated just because of the copy target activated or triggered ability you choose from an enchantment source. So that means like Calyx, for instance, we can make additional copies, and during Innocence we can make some additional, you know, copies. So I really do like Weaver, especially with some other cards that are also in this deck here. But anyways, we're also playing 4 copies of Calyx, Guided by Fate, and 4 copies of Enduring Innocence. I love both these cards. Enduring Innocence is super good, one of the best cards from Duskmourn, and fits this deck really well because all of our creatures, when they initially come into play, are power 2 or less, and then obviously when it dies, it comes back as an enchantment as well, which can help trigger our other cards. So huge fan of that. And then Calyx is just nuts. I mean, the card is crazy. There's a reason why it's over $10 US a piece for 1 copy of Calyx, because it is really good. So let's go and take a look at the rest of the cards that we're playing. We're playing 4 Ethereal Armor and 4 Shard Mage's Rescue. It's pretty simple. Ethereal Armor is just nuts with all of our creatures, just because all of our creatures are enchantments, so they're just going to be gigantic when we have an Ethereal Armor on the creature. And then Shard Mage's Rescue, it's pretty straightforward. I was going to play Brave the Elements in this deck, but then I got to thinking, oh wait, I can't, because we have Umori, so I wanted a protection spell, and Shard Mage's Rescue definitely fits the bill. Huge fan of the Shard Mage's Rescue. And then the last 2 cards we have to talk about is, I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, Michiko's Reign of Truth, and 4 Sheltered by Ghosts. So Michiko's Reign of Truth is just crazy. Chapter 1 and 2, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact and or enchantment you control, and then you go ahead and flip it, and it turns into an enchantment creature that gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. This card's just absolutely nuts. If we just have a couple enchantments in play, we play this maybe on turn 3 or turn 4. This is not usually a card that we're just going to slam on turn 2. So let's say we have a few enchantment creatures. We have a land, spoiler alert, that's an enchantment. We have this itself, and then let's say we had a Shard Mage's Rescue or an Ethereal Armor. It's just going to get gigantic, and our cheaper creatures all have lifelink, so we're just going to gain an insane amount of life with it. So huge fan of this card. And then Sheltered by Ghosts is just absolutely nuts. One of the best cards in Duskmourn. It's a $7 uncommon, which is crazy, but it's really not, because when you play with this card, it's absolutely nuts. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and has lifelink and ward 2, and when it enters, you exile a non-land permanent opponent controls until Sheltered by Ghosts leaves the battlefield. So the card is super good, and there's a reason why it carries that price tag, and that's why we're also playing 4 copies of it. So that's the entire main board, except for the lands, which our land base is pretty simple. We're playing 4 Valgavoth's Lair. Yeah, that's right. We have an enchantment land. Everybody always seems to forget about this card, and it's super good in this deck just because it adds enchantments in play, which is really good. Then we're also playing 4 copies of Rage Reverse Thicket and 4 copies of Temple Guard as our main dual lands. We are also playing 4 Branch Loft Pathway, and as our spicy utility lands, we have a Ganjo and Beseju. Pretty straightforward, they're just really, really good. And then rounding out our lands, we are playing 1 Plains and 1 Forest. And as our spicy basic lands of the day, again, the idea behind this deck was I wanted to build a deck with Umori, and in Umori in the original art, it has all those crystals and such because it is Umori the Collector after all. So I wanted to see if there was a few basics from Ikoria that, had the crystals on there that Umori likes to collect, and these ones kind of look like that a little bit. You got like the nice crystallization that's going on there, and overall, I really, really do like these art pieces, and what a surprise, it's Elena Danner, one of my favorite artists in the game, also did these pieces, so not surprising at all whatsoever. Elena Danner, one of the best artists in the entire game. So, don't go anywhere yet, though. We still have to talk about our sideboard, as well as some budget options for the deck. So, sideboard is so simple. Keep in mind, if we still want to use Umori, we have to bring in Enchantment. So, the idea is every single card in our sideboard is an enchantment. We're playing a few copies of Deafening Silence, because it hates on Lotus combo and Is It Phoenix. We're playing Rest in Peace, because it's a really, really good graveyard hate piece as well. Seal of Existence just kind of cleans up everything. It's an Oblivion Ring with Ward 2, or sorry, yeah, it's Ward 3, which is just super good, so that's why we're playing the Seal of Existence. And then Nyx Fleece Ram, just in case we want, a bigger butt, or in case, we want some extra life gain, that's why we're playing the Nyx Fleece Ram, simply put. It's also just a really cool card, and I've always loved Nyx Fleece Ram. And then the last thing we have to talk about is the budget options for the deck, which, it's pretty simple. Obviously, there's always the budget dual lands. I always talk about that in pretty much every video. But you can also swap Calyx and Enduring Innocence. They are relatively pricey, especially Calyx, with being $10 a piece. So go ahead and swap those out, which I don't exactly remember what I swapped at 100%. I know Calyx was the white Eidolon, which its power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures and I believe enchantments you control. So I know that's the one I'm playing with. Enduring Innocence, I think I just swapped into Eidolon of Blossoms actually. So I just swapped both of those with the old Eidolons. Then you can also swap Sheltered by Ghost. Sheltered by Ghost is really, really, really good. I promise. I'm telling you, it's one of the best cards in the deck. But if you don't want to spend $7 a piece, which it actually works out, because add Ossification, which we can only enchant basic lands with, but it works out because if we're playing on a budget, we want to play more basics anyways, so just cut some of the pricey dual lands and then go ahead and put in some more basics, and then we can just play Ossification, so it kind of works out overall. But the current list as it's constructed right now is only $211, which is pretty cheap, mostly because other than a few cards like, again, Calyx and Enduring Innocence and Sheltered by Ghost, this deck is incredibly cheap. All the other cards are like worth 25 cents, 50 cents at most, so that's why this deck is really cheap other than a few cards. But again, just cutting the expensive ones, I was able to get the list down to $47. So overall, this deck was really, really fun to make. I always love trying to find cards that kind of make things, weird decks. I always like playing unique cards. So, it's like, oh, I'm going to play this red aggro deck, and then you usually play a lot of the same, like 4 or 5 cards. But when you give yourself some weird restrictions, or you try to build around something that most people don't build around, you kind of get to play some really unique cards, which is really cool. Like, who's playing Hopeful Eidolon realistically, in 2024, almost 2025? No, who is? No one really is. So it's really cool to be able to feature brand new cards on the channel, instead of always talking about the same, handful of cards. You're like, oh, we're playing a enchantment deck, we're playing these. In this deck, we get to play some different cards, which is really, really cool. So let me know in the comment section below if you have a deck like this, or if you build this exact deck. Let me know how it plays in the comment section. So that takes us to the end of the video here. Thanks so much for watching. The deck lists are in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. And we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. So if you are not subscribed to the channel and love Pioneer content, you definitely should subscribe. We're going to be doing a huge giveaway at 1,000 subscribers, and we are getting pretty darn close. So if you don't want to miss that huge giveaway, you're definitely going to want to be subscribed. Huge shout out to our channel members, Ralph, Matt, Arcadius, Ray, Gary, Sarwanoki, and Night Red 3. If you're interested in being a channel member, it's only $1 a month, and you get access to the exclusive Commander Crane Discord, as well as other features here on the channel. So, I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to catch you in the next one.